I am traveling across the country to find the data scientist. But who is this mysterious data scientist? Let me take you back to how it all started. 3 months ago, I was interviewing strangers on the streets of Austin, Texas. And there was one person I interviewed that broke the YouTube algorithm. With 2.5 million views, 75,000 likes, and over 1,200 comments, I think it's safe to say that y'all loved this video. Just look at some of your comments. We all know that YouTube Shorts can be hit or miss, but I agree with Abdu Vosid that YouTube Shorts didn't miss on recommending you this video. Antonio said great content though, and Gopala and Kial think we deserve an Oscar. While I'm flattered, truly, I'm trying to stay humble, and honestly, I would prefer our YouTube channel to the 10,000 subscribers over a bunch of Oscar awards anyways. I responded to each and every single one of the 1,200 comments in that first video, so challenge me to see if I don't respond to one of your comments. I teased the idea of filming a video part 2 and going to find the data scientist to film a second part and ask all of your burning questions in the comments, and you guys loved the idea. And hang on till the end of the video to see if we do find the data scientist and have the ability to ask all of your burning questions in that first video comment section. So I asked myself, what if we actually film a video part 2? How hard could it be to find this random data scientist that I met in the streets of Austin, Texas? I rewatched that first video to remember what she looks like, but I realized I never asked for her name. I tried searching on Google for data scientists in Austin, and to my surprise, nothing came up. And this might be harder than I thought because there were over 100,000 employed data scientists around the world. But then I remembered that she worked at a startup called Slim.ai. So I searched for the company on LinkedIn, filtered searched, and found a profile that looked like her. Then I connected with her on LinkedIn and added a note, which by the way, you should always do if you want the person to actually read your message and respond. And here's exactly what I said. Hey Aisha, I interviewed you on the streets of downtown Austin and asked you some career questions. This video is blowing up and our audience loves you. Check out the final video here and added the link.
24 hours later.
Aisha responded, saying we broke the YouTube algorithm. I told her that the comments are asking for a video part 2, so I asked her if she was based in Austin, Texas. She said that she actually lives in Boston, Massachusetts. We chatted back and forth for a few messages and then agreed to hop on a one-on-one virtual call to discuss if an in-person video part 2 is even possible. We reconnected on Zoom, chatted about how that first video went viral, and spoke about ideas about what a video part 2 could look like. It was pretty surreal reconnecting with a complete stranger that I interviewed randomly, and trust me, I have interviewed hundreds of strangers in the streets. Just check out our TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram Reels at The Final Round. The good news, she was down to film a video part 2. And the bad news, sadly, she lives in Boston, Massachusetts, and I live in Los Angeles, California, exactly 2,605 miles away from each other. And doing a virtual video part 2 was sadly the only option. Well, that was that. I was not about to fly to Boston, Massachusetts to film a video part 2 with a complete stranger. But life is not always about doing the most logical thing. And I went to ask the most logical person in my life, my mother. So let's FaceTime her. Okay, super quick random question. So I'm in the process of filming a YouTube video, and should I interview this complete stranger again via Zoom for free, or should I travel across the country, spend a ton of money on flights, and interview her in person?
That's not even a question, just do it over Zoom.
Okay. And following my mother's sage advice, I decided to say yes and travel across the country to find the data scientist. Why, might you ask? 2 reasons. Number 1, you have to follow momentum. Our first video with this data science went viral. So what could happen for a video part 2? And not knowing is worse than this video potentially flopping and wasting hundreds of dollars on travel and airfare. Number 2, I want to build a real community. We are nearing 10,000 subscribers for our YouTube channel, and obviously you guys loved that first video, so I'm doing this for you for a video part 2. Trust me, from personal experience, regret is worse than failure. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen, really? Traveling 2,605 miles in one day to meet up with a complete stranger in Boston and spending hundreds of dollars on airfare. I guess we'll find out. Now that I decided that I'm going on this journey, I needed to create a game plan. Operation Finding the Data Scientist. Step 1, confirm the logistics. I need to confirm the meetup date, time, and location with the data scientist. We decided to meet up in Boston, Massachusetts at the MIT campus on a Saturday around midday. Step 2, find a filmer. This one was tricky since I don't have a full-time filmer and I'm just a growing YouTuber, but I ended up asking my friend who lives in Boston and attends Harvard University. Shout out Richie Reyes for agreeing to be my filmer for the day, and you'll get to meet him later in the video. Step 3, figure out transportation. Now, how do I get to Boston? I guess I could start with biking, but biking would take 12 days, and my bike recently got stolen, sadly. Maybe train, but that would take 3 days. I guess I could walk, but Maps doesn't even give the directions for walking because it's so far, and my running shoes are in the washing machine. In a car would be a whole day of travel, but I also don't own a car. Flying it is. Step 4, buy plane tickets. Now let's search for the cheapest flights I could find. After searching every single airline flight platform ranging from Hopper, Expedia, Google Flights, and even Cheapo Air, yes, that is a real platform, I landed on tickets. And after seeing the final price of the plane tickets, honestly, I was considering saying no.
No! No! No!
But then I remembered some iconic scenes from the Jim Carrey movie Yes Man, where a guy says,
You can't audit life, my friend.
"You can't audit life." It's such a powerful message because I used to be someone who would sit back and wait for opportunities to happen. The kid in high school who was lazy, not ambitious, had no goals, and would wait for opportunities to come knocking. But I have changed. I've grown and I've matured. Instead of auditing life and waiting for opportunities to come knocking, I've decided to go to the hardware store, buy tools and materials, and actually build my own door and create my own opportunities. So this trip is a yes. Step 5, find a video sponsor. To be completely honest with you guys, I don't have a ton of experience reaching out to sponsors for YouTube videos. I've done a variety of sponsorships across TikTok, Instagram, even LinkedIn, but as you guys know, YouTube is a whole other beast. But there's one company in particular that I think would be a perfect fit for our audience of the final round. A company that I've been following for years, that I would personally use in my job search, and I know that can provide a ton of value to you. And the best part about this online job accelerator is that they're 100% free until you get hired. Like I said in step 4, I didn't wait for a brand to approach me. Rather, I outreached to a brand that I thought would be a good fit for the video and our audience, and guess what? They're sponsoring this video. Shout out to the brand sponsor Pathrise for saying yes and believing in us. More about them later in the video. Step 6, research the data scientist. So who is this data scientist? It seems like she's a girl boss who dominates in the field of data science. After doing some research, I found out that her name is Aisha Kaya, and she is a senior director of strategic insights and analytics at a startup called Slim.ai. As I was researching Aisha in more depth, I realized she's not just a data scientist, but she is the data scientist. And she gets flown out to speak at conferences as the keynote speaker in front of thousands of people around the world. And some of her speeches are very technical in the field of data science. Well, here goes nothing. As I was walking to my Uber, I realized that I forgot to check the weather leading up to this expedition. And of course, it was raining. Keep in mind our interview today is outdoors, so this should be interesting. So many doubts flooded my mind. What if the data scientist doesn't show up? What if we get kicked out of the campus for filming? Do we need a permit to film? What if my filmer, who's my friend Richie, doesn't show up? Well, here goes nothing. As I arrived to the MIT college campus, I realized that the Uber driver dropped me off on the whole other end of campus where I was supposed to meet the data scientist. Oh, and did I mention that I was lugging my suitcase all around campus and in the rain? 1 second I was going left, the next second I was turning right. I was so lost after a while and also crazy nervous. So I thought of a clever way to have the data scientist find me. similar to those dudes at the airport who wear suits and have signs that say your name. And after 35,000 steps, 5.6 miles walking across campus, some soggy Belgian waffles, 2,500 miles traveled by plane, and many, many raindrops later, I finally found the data scientist. Now, are you ready for the actual video to start? Because fasten your seatbelts and grab some popcorn, because let's dive into the interview. But first, some pre-game stretches, because we were both so nervous for the interview. So we are on MIT's campus right now for video part 2 for our audience, asking them the burning questions. I'm here with Aisha, and you said that you come from an immigrant background. And I think so many people in the comments were asking where you're from, where do you live now? Are you in the US? Are you international? Can you tell us a little bit about your background and maybe where you're from and your family's from?
I was born and raised in Turkey. My parents are teachers, both of them, and they were very passionate about education. So especially educating young girls in underprivileged areas of Turkey. So growing up, I did a lot of traveling. We lived in very rural, distant, poor villages. So that was my backdrop as I was, my humble beginnings as I was getting my education, starting my life. Fast forward, right now I'm living in Boston. I'm working for this startup called Slim.ai, and I've been here for a while right now. I came to the United States back in 2004, and the rest is history.
How do people break into data science, and what are some best interview preparation tools or resources that you found super valuable? And on the topic of how to break into data science, I want to share with you one of the most impactful career platforms I found called Pathrise. And does this sound like you? Getting rejection after rejection, not even getting invited to interviews, not landing offers, and just feeling lost in your job search process? Let's face it, if you're gonna land a top job, you need to stand out. Pathrise is an online job accelerator that is free until you get hired. There's no risk since Pathrise has an incentive to help you get a job. And there is a free 14-day trial even after you get accepted. They have placed over 1,000 fellows and have a 96% placement rate. This is way more than a career coach. You get paired with an industry expert that works at your dream company and can show you insider tips, reaches out to recruiters and hiring managers for you, applies to companies on your behalf, revamps your LinkedIn and resume, and negotiates a higher salary for you when you land offers. Pathrise doesn't just focus on data science. They also help fellows in almost all other fields, such as roles in software engineering, marketing and sales, product management, consulting, banking, and more. And for reference, Pathrise has a higher rating than Gordon Ramsay's Michelin star restaurant. Applying literally takes less than 1 minute, so apply today. Use the link in the video notes so Pathrise knows you came from the final rounds audience. Now, back to the interview.
So my path into data science wasn't planned step by step. Like, I don't want to pretend that I wanted to be this from the get-go. I am an engineer by training. I always loved numbers and critical thinking. You need to overcome that fear of failure. Like in some jobs, this is really easy. Like if you're a wrestler, like my cousin, right? We keep saying that the mat is honest. If you do not put in the right training, you will see that it's not working. You will fail. And you will fail fast and you will fail better in time. If you are a surgeon, like my brother and sister who are physicians, you can think of the operating table as being very honest, right? If you're a carpenter and building furniture, if it keeps breaking, you can start thinking of how that can be very honest. So in data science, how do you do that? How do you build those feedback loops? I keep saying that doing is the best, if not the only teacher. Go in and break things. Go into hackathons, create these pet projects.
So I went through every single one of the almost 600 comments now from video 1. It took a while, but we care about our audience, and the biggest theme that people were asking about is you said that you worked over 60 hours each week and you don't have bags under your eyes and you look this good by working, 60 plus hours. So how do you do that?
60 hours per week, and I said at least, and I know that people were reacting to it. I think what they are really reacting to it might be the stress that they associate that might be happening in those 60 hours. And I can appreciate that. In a very hard, toxic environment, it might be hard to do 5 hours a week, honestly. I love what I'm doing. I derive a lot of meaning from work. That doesn't mean that I don't want a full, rich, layered life. I do turn off that stress level very quickly at night, during weekends, but I like putting those hours, and I find a lot of joy and meaning.
Where does the meaning come from with data science? I mean, I haven't met a ton of people who are super passionate about data science. Maybe I just haven't met that many data scientists, but
it's not about numbers. It's about the thing that you're doing with it. So basically data science, what is data science, right? What do we do in the profession? To me, it's all about making data useful and expanding the senses of your executive team, becoming their eyes and ears, helping them navigating the stormy waters.
after that eye-opening interview, we of course had to take a quick photo shoot to use for thumbnails for this video. And here are the two thumbnails that we finally created, popping them up on the screen right now. Comment below if you like thumbnail A or thumbnail B better. From traveling across the country from LA to Boston, to interviewing one of the most prominent data scientists in the entire industry, this had to have been one of the most eventful, fun, and insightful day trips I've ever been on. And I'm so glad I said yes. The point of this entire video is to 1, say yes to more opportunities. 2, build your own door if nobody's knocking. 3, introduce you to the world of data science. 4, learn from an industry thought leader like Aisha Kaya, the data scientist. 5, help you land a job with no risk at all from companies like Pathrise, our brand partner, and links below in the video notes. And 6, like and subscribe.